In a quaint little town named Willow Creek, where the air was always crisp and the scent of rain lingered in the streets, there lived a girl named Emma. She was a gentle soul with a heart full of dreams, a quiet observer of the world who found beauty in the simplest things. She believed in fairy tales, in happy endings, and above all, in the existence of a love that was pure and true. Emma's world was a tapestry woven with hope and innocence. She spent her days writing poetry in a small notebook, her words reflecting the depth of her sensitive spirit. One particularly rainy afternoon, as the sky wept over the cobblestone streets, Emma was standing alone at a bus stop, clutching her books and trying to shield herself from the cold drizzle. It was then that he appeared. A boy with a confident smile and eyes that held an unspoken secret. His name was Liam. He offered her his umbrella, and in that simple gesture, he opened the door to a world that Emma had only read about in her books. The umbrella shielded her from the rain, but Liam's presence shielded her from a loneliness she hadn't even realized she felt. This was the beginning of something Emma believed was beautiful, a story written just for her. Days turned into weeks, and weeks bled into months. Liam and Emma became inseparable. He was everything she had ever dreamed of, and more. He was the one who listened to her dreams with genuine interest, who laughed at her silly jokes, and who held her close when the weight of the world felt too heavy to bear. He called her his only sunshine, a name that made her heart flutter with a joy she had never known. Emma believed every word he said, every promise he made. She shared her deepest secrets with him, her past traumas, the poems that held her most vulnerable thoughts, and the fears that haunted her quiet nights. She gave him her whole heart, piece by fragile piece. Liam, in turn, was a master of his craft. He knew all the right words to say, the perfect gestures to make. He was a performance artist, and Emma was his most devoted audience. He made her feel seen, valued, and utterly adored. But as their story unfolded, a subtle dissonance began to echo in the background. While his words were sweet, his heart was never truly there. His love for her was a facade, a convenient role he played. He was not looking for a soulmate, he was looking for an audience, a source of attention to fuel his own fragile ego. Emma, blinded by her love and trust, was too caught up in the beautiful lie to see the truth. Then, one day, the performance started to falter. The cracks began to show. Emma noticed the subtle shifts first. Fewer texts, shorter phone calls, and a coldness in his eyes that had never been there before. The once vibrant connection between them felt strained, like a stretched rubber band on the verge of snapping. Her intuition, a quiet voice she had always trusted, began to scream. She finally gathered the courage to ask him, "Is something wrong, Liam? You feel so distant." He flashed her charming smile, a smile she had once adored but now felt hollow. "You're just overthinking, Emma," he said dismissively. "Everything is fine." But her heart, a more honest witness than her mind, knew the truth before she could even process it. It was a truth that felt like a sharp, cold dagger to her core. The fairy tale was ending, and the magic was a lie. A week later, he stopped answering completely. The phone calls went to voicemail, the text messages went unanswered. Emma's heart sank deeper with each passing day of silence. She was trapped in a state of limbo, clinging to the hope that he would eventually call, that he would explain everything, that he would come back. But he never did. The silence was deafening, more painful than any argument could have been. And then, on a sunny afternoon that seemed to mock the darkness in her soul, Emma saw him. She was walking past the town square when she saw him, his head bent close to another girl's, their hands intertwined. They were laughing, a sound that pierced Emma's heart with a cold, cruel precision. He was telling this new girl the same jokes, making the same gestures, and probably whispering the same sweet nothings he had once whispered to Emma. In that single moment, Emma realized the devastating truth. She never truly existed to him. She was a temporary chapter in his story, a role he had already replaced. Her heart didn't just break. It shattered into a million tiny, irreparable pieces. But Emma didn't drown in her tears forever. The devastation was real, but so was her strength. The girl who believed in fairy tales finally understood that she had to write her own ending. She began by picking up the broken pieces of her heart, one by one. She started writing again, but this time her poems were not about love and longing. They were about survival, resilience, and finding strength in her own silence. She found her voice in the absence of his. She rediscovered who she was without him. One evening, as she sat by her window watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, she whispered to herself, "I loved him, but I survived him too." It was a quiet declaration, a promise to herself that she would not be defined by a love that had used her. She had endured the storm, and now she was ready to embrace the calm. The pain had not broken her. It had forged her into someone stronger, more resilient, and more in tune with her own truth. Emma's story was no longer a tragedy. It was a testament to her unbreakable spirit. Not all love stories are meant to last forever, but every broken heart learns how to beat stronger, louder, and more fiercely on its own. This was Emma's story. Maybe it's yours too. Subscribe for more real-time stories where every emotion finds a voice.